everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Tuber. Welcome back. This is your 17th The Rookie Season 7 episode review. The penultimate episode. I am, it's a little bittersweet, you know. Okay, well, we're not at the end yet. That's next week. But still, like, the fact that we're almost done with another season is very, very, very saddening to me. It really, really is. I mean, we still have a couple more weeks of content in general beyond that, but still, it sucks. It really sucks. We always wait so long for the rookie, we really do, and then when we do get it, it's a fun ride. It's a very fun ride, and then when we are at the end of it, I'm like, damn, we were just at the start, and now we're at the end of another season. But thankfully, like I said before, many times already in the last few weeks, that we will be back for an 8th season, you know, coming soon. But no, but here we are, you know, the penultimate episode of season 7. I think this was a very fun episode. I really did. I'm still quite hoping we're gonna get like another big boom episode next week. I'm really hoping so. I really just hope we get another 5 or even 6 season finale. Well, we're not gonna see a season 6 type, but like a season 5 type of finale where like it is very high stakes. That's kind of what I really want to see. You know, I think the way that season 4 ended as a regard was kind of like, you know, lukewarm at best. I really hope we don't get that. I really don't know, because it's not to say like, you know, okay, now every TV show finale needs to end like in a big way, but for me, I'm like, no, I kind of want to see it end in like, you know, a really nice way for us to really speculate on where season 8 is going to go when we do come back to it. But this episode was just a very fun ride. I think this was just, you know, I think this was hopefully the last time we're going to get the characters kind of really just kind of being, you know, themselves kind of handling some minor life problems with the usual rookie flair. I think that's my hope for this, and, you know, it did qualify for that, you know, through and through, and we'll see how next week's finale is going to go. But in all honesty, you know, I think this was another great episode, you know, getting to see a lot of, you know, guest stars coming back from, you know, recurring characters we've seen before, coming back for another act was very nice to see, to continue that, and, you know, just kind of a little weird how they're handling certain things, but, you know, it's another thing of the minute, as, you know, again, I think this is just mainly meant to just close out some of those returning guest stars, and then next week is going to be just properly just the season finale for the show with all of our main core characters, and I can't wait to see how it's going to all wrap up. But, you know, but this episode, I think they did a really nice job with it. They really, really did, and moving, having a little bit of momentum for one of the characters specifically. But with all that being said, let's go for the Butcher recap and talk about this week's episode of The Rookie. So we begin with Bailey commenting that sadly their their roof is sadly beginning to leak again, and even though Nolan, being the handyman himself, can probably put another patch job in there, sad to say the least, there is a very high probability that will not be able to happen, since they need to purchase a new roof, which will probably cost them roughly around $15,000, which I'm like, as someone who had an entire roof crisis, like, my tea super hot about 6 years ago, I can 100% testify that, like, yeah, now that is something that is, it's not something you want to deal with. It really isn't. You really kind of just, like, hope that this thing can kind of, you know, sweep it under the rug, but sadly, you know, it is the cost of being a homeowner, sadly. But before Nolan is able to properly start his day, he is gifted and greeted by the returning Skip Tracer Randy, which I'm just like, I love him. I love him so much. I'm like, you know, I think they got it's one of those rare characters where, like, if we just only get one episode of season from him, I would be so happy. I really, really did. And I'm just, I love seeing him. I really, really do. He's back. This time he's got a new dilemma. He's fallen in love. He's ready to take things to the next step. Obviously, him and Bailey are kind of ready to, like, you know, kind of give as much advice as possible. However, his target of his affection is already a taken woman, is Chastity, who is Pete's girlfriend. And if you don't remember who Pete is, it's Pete Davidson, a.k.a. Pete Nolan. Yeah, who we have not been able to afford since season 4, which is, again, very, very, very funny, considering the fact that man is just super, uber busy. I don't even know what he's doing right now to justify it. I'm pretty sure they could have fit him in somehow, but either way, you know, he has fallen in love. Apparently, he and Chastity did engage in some, you know, post-wedding sexual encounter, which I'm just, like, so curious of, like, does her and Pete have an open relationship or something? Because, like, that's just so confusing to me. Like, you know, I mean, I know those exist in the world, but I'm just like, you know, is that the way we just explain why Pete's not around most times and not, and why, you know, Chastity's still, like, you know, having these side flings? I really don't know, to be honest with you. I really don't know. But Regardless, he's ready to kind of take it to the next level, and he's got all sorts of money to do so because apparently a previous job of his paid him out in Bitcoin, and he only just finally discovered the power of a crypto wallet, and apparently he learned that he's a hundred millionaire, so well, multi-millionaire. So he's ready to like drop his load, not like that, onto many frivolous gifts to earn Chastity's love, but no one in Bailey do suggest for him to like take the old-fashioned approach. If you are very serious about doing something with her, maybe taking it a different approach. However, he is not quite. He doesn't quite see that, as Nolan and Bailey do have to step out to start their work days properly. As we cut over to the other side of the field, where Chen and Juarez are having some coffee together, starting their shift off properly, and that's when they kind of discover that Juarez is having a little bit of trouble trying to connect with her boyfriend, as not like that, but like the fact that she has this ESP energy, and that it's his birthday coming up. She does not know what quite to gift him for his birthday, and which is a concerning sign for her because again, she should be able to sync up with her partner, and the fact she's unable to with him is like kind of a bit of a concerning sign in that regard. So with that being said, yeah. And then they also are gifted by Skip, Trace, and Randy, who needs a different perspective from Chen and Juarez, being, younger people, to see what they feel about possibly, about what Chastity might like as a present, try to earn her love. And, Chen's like more about communication and everything. Same with Juarez. And yeah, that's when Skip, Trace, Randy's like, yeah, no, I got all this money. So like, what do I got to do? Do I got to buy a house? I got to buy, like, what do I got to buy to earn her love? Which I'm like, one thing you should learn, Randy, and I love you a lot, really, but like, money will never buy you love. It really won't. It'll give you something, but it won't be authentic. It won't be legit. So yeah, so he leaves to go figure out what the heck he's gonna do next with that, having a bunch of money in hand already. I believe, yeah, so we cut over to Harper and Lopez beginning their workday, as when Harper's mom, which we rarely get an occurrence from Harper's family, gives her a ringer. Apparently, she's having someone about to break into her house. There's obviously ringing up the whole brigade for Harper and Lopez. By the time they arrive there, they find, it was just an LA County sheriff dropping of an eviction notice because apparently her mom no longer owns her house, which is confusing considering the fact that Harper knows for a fact that she does, so she's completely confused about this. It was even more confusing the fact that Lopez's mom also shows up to greet her friend, and I'm just like, wait a minute, so Harper's mom and Lopez's mom somehow became friends with each other somehow. Like, there was no, like, they just happened to meet each other, and it's happened that their daughters happened to work together. It's like, interesting to say the least. It really is. And, it's actually very sweet, the fact that, that this happened to work out, and, that, honestly, I think it's very sweet, despite Harper and Lopez vehemently disagreeing on this, which I'm just like, aren't you two besties? So, like, wouldn't it make sense for, your moms to be besties? It doesn't really matter. But, yeah, so now they're going to get to the bottom of this, sadly, because something's not lining up with all this, legal ownership talk. Meanwhile, Wesley and his DA boss are going over a potential big case coming up, and despite Wesley taking over things because his DA boss is currently in the running for re-election, so he's been very busy not being able to tackle that many cases. So they have Bradford and Penn over to kind of bring in the interview portion with the client himself and his defense attorney, to see, just to make sure everything's proper before they hit the court. And obviously, of course, this lawyer's a scumbag trying to slip up Miles and everything. And, thankfully he does catch, Penn's thinking process in order. Hopefully they get his confession off the board. So they're dealing with all that over there, trying to get that all in order before the court case. I want to say, where do we go? I think we come back to Chen and Juarez still talking about the gift idea. They decided to take it from a guy's perspective, and they call it Bradford and Penn, which I'm just like, interesting just how this all works out, to be honest with you. Like, it's very weird. It's a very, like, interesting, like, dynamic with that. That's at least how I took it to be. Again, Bradford being, like, still in love with Chen, wants to help her out as much as he can, and then, like, he has these very awkward moments where, like, he's not usually used to being asked it, where like even Bradford's idea for a gift would be just whiskey and a cigar, which I'm just like, dude, you are so fucking old. But yeah, no, but yeah, even Penn giving up really wise idea, like, what does he like to do? And they're like, music, and say, oh, why didn't you crap the song for him? And they're like, yeah, and Bradford's like, nah, don't do that. Especially don't do that. You're talking to, like, you're gonna ask a novice a songwriter to write a song for her boyfriend who has, you know, mastered the arts already. So, but despite that, Juarez decides to take it in stride and just follow up with that as her point of reference there. Harper and Lopez are with their moms trying to figure out what essentially happened. Apparently, Harper's mom joined this Facebook group called Old Houses, and apparently some woman came by supposedly saying that, oh, I'm going to help you put your house in a trust, making sure that, you know, everyone that you love is going to have, you know, easy access to your house after, which is a legitimate form of transferring properties over to people without the financial aspect of it. However, sadly, she actually signed over the rights to her, the person that was doing it. So in fact, she owns the house now and not Harper's mom. So obviously Harper's mom is, you know, distraught by death, realizing what she's done. Like, you know, obviously she worked so hard to get that house, and now it's not, you know, it's not usable, so to speak. So now they're kind of stuck in a rut there. Wesley's on his way out. He completed the interviews with Bradford and Penn. As he's heading out, and he gets approached by a guy with a gun, sneaking behind. He's not here to kill Wesley. He's just here to kind of make sure he drops the charges against his thing, because apparently he's one of them. He just wants to look out for the other. And the other thing, they do have dirt on the DA's office. Apparently, the DA's son has been caught and recorded doing drugs, which will be obviously a negative image booster should that get released out into the wild. So obviously Wesley's kind of torn right now, because, like, you know, obviously he needs to do his due diligence, knowing that there is a case here that this individual is in fact, you know, meant to go to prison. But however, it's his boss and it's his son. Like, you know, this is not, you know, you don't usually mix family with business in this term of regards. He goes straight to Lopez, trying to get her advice, you know, as a non-cop official, and she just advises, no, I agree with you, maybe it would be best you broach the subject with him. Again, this is his son. He does have a right to know. He does have a right to an opinion to see what is the best way to handle this, because you don't want to make a decision for him as well, because he is your boss. He's still the DA for LA, so you gotta follow protocol with this one. So he decides to do so, and will do so as a result. Skip Tracer Randy, however, has immediately showed up to the strip club that Chastity works at, immediately just dropping all sorts of gifts on her doorstep, which I'm just like, Randy, why? What did we just say? Why, Randy? And thankfully, Chastity does have some sort of moral compass where, like, immediately she knows what's kind of going on here, immediately telling him, no, this is not how we're going to do it. This is not, I'm still with Pete. I still love him, even though, like, there was kind of a point of her where, like, oh. And like, kind of having her to, like, you know, re-snap back into reality. And, yeah, but she does kind of broach the idea of, like, how about you be my sugar daddy? Which is basically that, that, you know, Chastity will give some sort of, you know, attention to Randy, but mainly for financial return. Obviously, Randy's a bit concerned by that, considering the fact that, you know, like I said, it won't be exclusive. They won't be exclusive. Obviously, Chastity will still be with Pete, and that she needs to discuss with Pete about this. But again, sadly, Randy's just far too gone. And then we have the bartender in the background calling someone as soon as, you know, Randy starts, like, showing off all these, you know, expensive diamonds and jewels and, you know, and jewelry. And yeah, Randy, what have you done? What have you done, my boy? To the point of time he gets out of the, he immediately calls Nolan just for an update. But however, two guys approach him, in which, yeah, these guys are here to mug him and take his stuff away. So Nolan immediately books it over to him, while Randy, again, being a licensed bounty hunter, easily takes care of them. What he's like, you know, no real issues what to say, resulting in their quick arrest by the time Nolan arrives. And, you know, I'm just like, Randy, it could have been something else. Like, thank God nothing happened to you. If something happened to you, Randy, I would be greatly distraught by that, in my opinion about it. So thank God that you are all well and good on that one. You really are. So we back to Harper and Lopez's matter. So yeah, so since this could be a repeated incident, like, you know, because, you know, if she's, like, loitering around this Facebook group waiting for someone to, like, kind of pop in and message her, that sadly there really isn't much they can do legally currently standing unless they can prove that this woman is doing things on a fraudulent nature. So if this happens again with the same intentions, then this can essentially be something that they can use to assist Harper's mom in court. So they're going to take the night to convene about it and to have Lopez's mom decide to go undercover on the Facebook group to trying to lure this person in while Harper's mom stays over at Harper's place for the time being while they get this all figured out and rectified. So I think from there, I would like to say, where do we go from here? I forgot, to be honest with you. I really, really do. I think the next thing is like Chastity calling up Nolan, just trying to, on the Randy situation again. It's a very weird regard over everything, and that the fact that she doesn't want to hurt him at the same time. She does have a boyfriend in Pete, which is Nolan's brother, and Nolan's like, yeah, I'm trying to stay out of this. I just want to make sure no one gets hurt. And as soon as he says that, 3 random dudes come behind Chastity and immediately kidnap her, which I'm just like, Nolan, you are a man of poor timing. I will just say that much about that regard. So yes, and now Chastity's been kidnapped, believing that that's Randy's girlfriend. So they just assume that they're going to get the money from Randy to be able to proceed from there. So again, it very much is a bit of a concern on that front with that. So I believe Randy does consult with Gray and Nolan, trying to figure out what's the next step, and like, let's just do things by the book. Let's do things naturally. Obviously it's going to be like some sort of negotiation tactic. There's going to be a meetup spot. We're going to do the entire traditional thing. And then Randy goes up and pays the ransom, which I'm just like, Randy, number one, you don't pay the ransom until immediately you can confirm the person's aliveability. They could have just easily killed her as soon as you get, like, you want to have her in front of you just to confirm everything. Oh, Randy, you poor, lovable fool. Even he also paid off a local charity to promote, like, to cater the whole event, which I'm just like, what the Randy, I'm scared. I don't know how you live the day to day. I really don't. I don't even know how you pay your bills. So I believe from there, I want to say, yeah, so we cut back over to, does Chen and Juarez have anything pending this week? I know Chen's, like, sergeant exam postings are going to come out soon. That all I know, and I know Bradford and Penn are mainly providing, backup support with the main stories today. We don't really get much about them that I can be mindful of. So I know we break for the night. I know Harper's mom goes back to Harper's place, and they're just going through things. Obviously, Harper's really disappointed with her mom about everything. This is not the first time she's trusted random strangers before, especially with the issue with Harper's dad in the past, that didn't end so well, and that the mom kind of, didn't really do anything about it. When at the time she kind of like got walked all over on, and even after all that time, she's still getting the same targeting as before. So it's not been suiting well for her as a result, and Harper's kind of had to let that out and release it as a result. But when we do convene back with them, Lopez's mom was able to make contact with the lady. They're able to meet up later today using Lopez and Wesley's household as, like, a cover guys to, lure her in. So hopefully this will all work out, to say the least. Meanwhile, I forgot to say, speaking of Wesley, he does speak to the DA about about his son doing drugs, and immediately he doesn't believe him. He's like, no, there's no way. Like, there's no way that my son is going to be doing drugs. There's no way. And even when he shows in the video, it's like, ah, shit. Well, there's nothing he can do right now, but he cannot face his legal standards, so he will still proceed forward with the case regardless. But he's going to try and take care of the thing with his son ASAP to kind of get ahead of it, to not give these people any sort of ammunition against him during the trial. So that's really all the best that they can do on that regard as well. So yeah, so as expected, sadly, Skip Chase and Randy's bargain did not work out really. So he heads back to the Nolan residence as they kind of try to figure out their next move on things. Again, they should not pay up the follow-up ransom. They need to make sure that Chastity's all right and everything. But however, despite that, sadly, he still goes ahead of it, posting the money he withdrawed on the bed, on the guest room bed, and sending out a signal to any sort of other bounty hunters to look after these people as a result, which I'm just like, Randy, you have the best intentions, but this was not something you should have done. This really wasn't. No, but yeah, so sadly it's already out there. The wildfire's already out there. There's already more a little bit of an increase in crime because of so Bradford and Penn have to work the oil to like really get these people off the street before anything happens. They decided to take a more covert operation to this, having Randy just stay on standby, waiting for like, you know, the right call to come in so they could track them and get Chastity back. So they do call Randy again. Randy's trying to like very ignorantly extending the call so they can get like that final confirmation on their location. However, they already know. It's like, look, you got an hour. I want to see $50 million this time in Bitcoin. Otherwise, Chastity's dead. And all Randy wants is a confirmation that she's alive, which thankfully she is, and she manages to give a Morse code that of her location. As a result, I don't know how she even does like so. MAL. Oh, okay, you can do it. You could do that. Which spells out mall. And when Penn picks that up, they realize there is an abandoned mall in LA that's been like, you know, a perfect front for like, you know, kidnapping people for some time now. So that would be the perfect place for them to go in case this is something that's, you know, a possible serious location. So everyone like loads up to the ground. Sadly, Randy is sidelined for all of his actions that he's done, sadly, recently. Lopez's mom goes in, manages to successfully convince the lady that, hey, yeah, no, like, you know, this is my house, you know, I'm ready to, like, get the assistant, let's do this trust thing, you know, and, again, faking the fact that, oh, I forgot my reading glasses, can you just advise me exactly what this, all this entails and everything, and, you know, by the time they have all the final confirmation in place, you know, Lopez and Harper go in to make the arrest. Obviously, the girl's like, "Oh no, I'll get out of your head. Don't worry, do not worry. I am not." But sadly, once it's all realized, she's blown and she gets arrested. And yeah, it's all over, said and there. Thankfully, it was a easy close and shut case. I think eventually, yeah. So they decide to get ahead of it with the case matter at hand to go ahead of it. For Wesley's case specifically, and the DA's like, okay, let Wesley finish it from here. He's going to take the day off to go take his son over to a rehab center, again, to get ahead of this so that, you know, at least there are provisions to be made and everything. The story, as well as letting, actually, not yet, we don't get that news yet, so Wesley's left in charge for the day as he goes off to go do that. Ending up, yeah, so he's telling his son it's time for him to go. It's time for us to, you know, head out over there, make the drive over there. His son's like, no, you know what? I only got it in a few times. I think I'll be able to, like, you know, mitigate it from here, which I'm just like, dude, I can 100% look from your mannerisms. 100% you're willing to get high again. So thankfully his dad does the smart decision to proceed forward with the driving. However, sadly, the same gang shows up ready to kill them both, ready to, like, you know, shoot them dry. Thankfully he does have a provisional gun in hand. He also reaches out to LAPD. Actually, no, he didn't even reach out to LAPD. Just conveniently that Chen and Juarez happen to be in the area. So they go in to poach them, managing to get them pretty easily. You know, even the guy was actually really a good shot for like a DA. Like, damn, I was not expecting that from a lawyer. Not gonna lie to you. So they take care of the guys with ease. No real issues there. But sadly, however, his son did get did get hit in the crossfire, getting shot in the middle of his neck. So sadly, it wasn't anything, you know, very appeasing for that to do. So he had to go rush over to the hospital to go take care of that. So I believe from there we get back over to the mall where Chastity decides to, you know, she notices that the three kidnappers aren't really doing anything really majorly. Like, they're just kind of talking around saying that, okay, as soon as we get Skip, Tracer, Randy to give over this money, it's payday. We're going to get away on our motorbikes. We're gonna ride off into the sunset. And Chastity realizes these bozos are not even paying attention to me, so she decides to start her own escape pattern as everyone starts converging onto the scene. They're ready. They got a battle plan ready to go, and then suddenly Chastity just shows up, and I'm like, damn, this girl is very self-sufficient. So the rest of the officers go in just for a clear takedown mission. Heading inside, they do manage to find them, sadly, because technically they haven't been really committed a crime yet. Technically, within an officer of the law's eyesight, there is really, they can't do anything until shooting. But then they start shooting, so they start shooting back. It was an easy 1, 2, 3. You know, not really much to say about it. They get the guys. End of story. Call it a day on that front. As a result, they take Chastity to the hospital to mentor to her minor injuries. Randy's there, and Randy, poor Randy, is locked out of his freaking crypto wallet, which I'm just like, dude, this is why you put a simple password for yourself. So he's locked out of his multi-millions, and even he pleads with Chastity of like, oh, is there any way we could still do the sugar daddy thing even if I don't have any money? And Chastity's like, no, sadly, you need money to be with me. And she's like, okay, well, you know what? It's for the best. It's time for him to resume his frugal life and, admire Chastity from afar. So that's the end of Skip Tracer Randy for this regard, which I'm just like, I love you so much, man, but someday you're going to get yourself caught in a hair in a hard place. I know that for a fact, but what can you do? You live and you learn with that one. Everything works out with Harper and her mom actually as a result as well with everything going on. She's going to get her house back thankfully within time. And at the same regard, they managed to like kind of mend the ship a little bit from their little splat earlier in the episode. So thankfully, they're all under the bridge with that one. And for some reason, before Randy lost his multi-millions, he managed to give Bradford a 3-hour session with his favorite sports player, which I think this was one of the rare times Bradford was actually legitimately happy over some, which I'm just like, damn. So that's what you look like, smiling Bradford. So that's what. As he gets his baseball mitt to go play catch with him, which I'm just like, interesting to say the least. We learn a little bit more about Bradford each and every day. Juarez could finishes her song up for Roger, singing it in Spanish actually, because I think that was just her strong suit. He feels very touched by it, and then they start to continue onward. And apparently, he also got a gig overseas, playing in a small town in Sweden, which I guess him and Juarez might take a little vacation to. Maybe, who knows? It's a possibility, but we'll see more about that hopefully coming up. Then we come back to the station where Chen is waiting for the news of the sergeant's exam. Bradford being there too for support, trying to like just kind of keep her calm, keep her cool about it, and just trying to like get the understanding. Hey, look, no matter what happens, it's just a test. If you don't do well on this one, there's obviously the next one, and call it as May. But eventually a grade does show up with the results. He posts them. Bradford takes the first crack under Chen's recommendation. He then tells Chen to come over to view it herself. She did it. She passed the sergeant's exam. And not just that, she was the first in her testing group in this round of testing, which makes her officially eligible to become a sergeant when an opportunity pops up. She now has the credentials, which grade decides to grant her, making her officially a sergeant for Mid-Wilshire. Evening shift, though. Which I'm just like, oh no, this is going to be... It's going to be tough. I'm not going to front with you. It's going to be tough. And then, obviously she takes them in stride. And finally, Lucy Chen has earned her stripes. She has officially become a sergeant, I think a P3 as a result, I believe. Could be wrong, though. And, yeah. Congratulations to Chen, as that was a wrap on this week's episode of The Rookie. Again, congrats to Chen. Look, I've said this before with a couple of seasons. She's been shafted. She's been through a lot. She's been through the ringer, even with Bradford as a result. And no, I'm really happy for her that finally, I think I said this a lot of episode reviews ago, like, patience is virtue, your time will come, and her time has finally come, Is it the shift she wanted? Probably not, but now she's officially a sergeant. She officially is going to have that augmentation in role, augmentation in title, and, that's going to be great for her as a result. It really is. Which I'm just curious, like, we technically had 2 sergeants in the... Well, obviously great being the watch commander, so I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if that leaves the door open to anything else. But regardless of the same, congratulations to Chen on that front. It was great seeing Skip Tracer Randy and Chastity again. I'm still very much wondering, is Pete really that busy to not show up for a rookie episode? They just can't afford him. I'm just curious. It's got to be one of those two things. It can't be another one or the other. But regardless, to say the least, I think this was a great episode, especially with the moms. That was a lovely thing. Like our pre-Mother's Day episode, because we're not going to be around for Mother's Day when the show's over in next week. So it was a very nice pseudo Mother's Day episode to get as a result. So I was really happy about that. But with all that being said, I forgot one more thing. After the DA's son gets shot, he turns out to be all right, but the DA is actually going to be dropping out from the race to go focus on raising his son and taking care of his family, which I'm like, maybe Wesley can be the DA next. Maybe if there's a opening in the election. I don't know. That could be a thing. I don't know. Give Wesley a big thing to do next season. But regardless, again, yeah, so I'm going to give this episode 2 thumbs up. Let me know down below what you think of this week's episode of The Rookie. Did you love it or did you like it? Let me know down below. We'll love to have a conversation with you about it. But I believe that's going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's Two from ActionX, reviewing every episode in the 7th season of The Rookie. If you want to do it during your What's Two besides our Rookie episode reviews. Right now, we are just doing Suits LA reviews each and every week after brand episodes on Sundays on NBC. But if you don't care about The Rookie, next week is the Season 7 finale, so stay tuned until then. That's going to be a big one. Then the following week, we will be posting our Season 8 predictions video to see what I want to see in the upcoming 8th season. And then the following week is our Season 7 spoiler-free review for anyone who has yet to see the 7th season of Rookie, which will then be available in its entirety on Hulu. But again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't yet, like, favorite, share if you want to, and ring that bell for notification when our next video is live. But until we see each other again, thank you so much for watching. Please stay safe out there, be good to each other, and as always, peace out.